Mary Beth and I visited Iceland in September 2025. We were anxious to see the country's amazing volcanic, geothermal, and tectonic marvels. Many tourists' impressions are formed of volcanic activity during a one-day Golden Circle route of natural wonders, but we wanted a deeper appreciation of the amazing island by visiting a mix of famous and lesser-known locations. Notwithstanding, we were honestly not prepared for the raw power of the volcanic activity and how it shaped the lives of Icelanders, past and present. While driving across the south of Iceland, the moss-covered lava fields stretch as far as the eye can see. They extend from the interior glacier-clad mountains many miles across the highway and down to the sea. Lava fields are strictly off limits, but we came across a short hike designed to demonstrate, successfully, how sharp and unforgiving lava is to walk upon. Even worn down by the feet of many tourists, this lava trail was difficult, and a fall likely meant torn clothing and perhaps abraded limbs. Iceland uses its abundant geothermal hot water to produce electricity, heat its homes, and warm its showers and baths. Hvergardi is unusual because it's a town built right on top of a geothermal field. One of our favorite stops in this whole trip was their town park, a demonstration of both geothermal power and practical utility. The park has its own geyser, and every 12 to 15 minutes or so, as you walk the path through the park, eventually you come to a depression that was used as kind of the town dump for many years. However, a few years ago, it exploded, and it rained household debris all across the town. Another favorite stop of ours was the somewhat isolated Seltoon geothermal area. A well-maintained boardwalk traverses the entire area, passing steaming pools and bubbling streams. We were particularly fascinated by these boiling mud pots. The colors at this spot were particularly vivid. The sulfur deposits below ground stained the sediment, rock, beautiful colors that the camera doesn't do justice to. Magma is molten lava which stays in liquid form under the surface and hardens to rock after exposure to air. The Kerid Crater offers a textbook volcano cone and highly acidic crater lake inside. You can walk down to the water or you can walk around the rim. We did the rim walk, and the background noise you hear is the sound of about a 50-mile-an-hour wind. It was one of the coldest places in the entire trip. Fridheimer Beach on the south coast offers magnificent vistas and ever-present danger. There are miles of black sand beaches, amazing sea stacks, but the highlight are the massive and picturesque basalt columns. These naturally occurring structures are made by rapid cooling of lava. The regularity of these hexagonal-shaped columns makes you swear they came out of a mold. It's even more mind-boggling that you can find these structures in places like the California coast, Devil's Causeway in Northern Ireland, and the island of Staffa in Scotland. While Rhinasfjord is beautiful, random, unexpected high waves coming in off the ocean are a great danger to visitors. Despite a sophisticated warning system, these so-called sneaker waves trap people frequently. And the most recent death was a young girl only 1 month before we were there. It seems on every one of our trips that I'm destined to drive Mary Beth crazy by wanting to go to some remote site that requires a four-wheel drive that we don't have. On this trip, it was Lee's Cave. As lava flows across the surface, it creates empty pockets known as lava tunnels or lava caves. Soon we were bouncing along the worst gravel and rock road we drove in all of Iceland. It was 3 miles of dust, shaken nerves, and prayers for our bargain rental car. When we got to a small parking area, we scoped out a faint trail and followed it, and eventually came to a place where there were 2 entrances to Lee's Cave. We clambered down into the opening of the one that was more easily accessible and peered inside by the light of our cell phone flashlights. The interior was incredibly jagged. The opening was probably 10 feet high and appeared to descend into the darkness. Eventually, a friendly young couple showed up, and they were determined to go inside, and we watched them as they disappeared out of sight. We were anxious to find the most recent lava possible, and that wasn't very difficult as we headed up Highway 43. The lava fields on both sides of the car were very dark as we drove by, indicating how fresh it was. As we got closer to the heavier lava flows, we began to see these huge rock dams that had been built by the authorities to attempt to aim the molten lava away from important sites like the Blue Lagoon and what is one of the world's largest geothermal electric plants. It was quite eerie when Highway 43 turned to gravel, and that was because the lava had overcome the highway. The sight of the center line of the road disappearing under the rock was pretty stunning. Our next stop was Grindavik, a fishing village where we were looking for a fresh seafood meal. But what we also found was whole neighborhoods of abandoned houses. Apparently the magma had moved underneath their foundations, rendering them unstable, and they had to be abandoned. Thingvellir is really the only place on Earth where you can walk between 2 continental tectonic plates, the North American and European. Thingvellir is also sacred ground to Icelanders, as the valley adjacent to the rift served as the location for the National Assembly and Court, known as the Althing, from 930 to 1798. While the Althing currently sits in downtown Reykjavik, this valley is still used for annual celebrations, and special events. Iceland is known for unusual foods such as puffin and fermented shark, but we particularly enjoyed some unusual methods of food propagation and preparation. At the Hvergardi Geothermal Park, visitors get hands-on experience with some traditional cooking methods using the underground hot water. Here Mary Beth drops eggs into the boiling water, lets them stay for 7 to 9 minutes, and depending on how long you leave them in there, they're somewhere between soft and hard-boiled. Also Hvergardi, the guides who run the park bake delicious rye bread in the geothermal steam for over 20 hours and serve it for a small fee at the visitor center. Between the eggs and the bread, made for a wonderful geothermal breakfast. The Fridheimer Tomato Farm and Restaurant is another place where geothermal energy and great eating come together. All the tomatoes are grown in the hothouse, which is heated by geothermal steam. They have an all-tomato menu, and we had a great lunch of soup, Bloody Mary, and even tomato beer, which was surprisingly good. It was mandatory for Mary Beth and I to experience Iceland's soaking culture. Hot spring pools are located throughout the country. Some are fancy and very commercial, some quite simple. Icelanders have been enjoying thermal baths since the founding of Reykjavik in the year 874. So to conduct our research, on a very cold and windy day, we chose the Vomsik Thermal Spa, which fronts directly on a spectacular fjord about 45 minutes north of Reykjavik. It offers 9 rock pools of different temperatures in which to soak, chat, and relax. Now, admittedly, we stayed in the warmest pool, which coincidentally offered tall glasses of local gulk beer via the swim-up bar. We were definitely loving life. We sure enjoyed our lava affair with Iceland, and we hope you did too. So we encourage you to follow the herd for more great videos from Iceland and other content on Rick's Senior Moments.